ఫీలింగ్ వచ్చింది. అంత పెద్ద సైడ్ తీసుకొచ్చి రాడు.
Do you want me to tilt that more? Or no?
Go.
Hello there, everybody. How's it going? Oh, I think I need to see chat. I'm going to pull it on my phone. But where do I see chat? There's like 3 different places we're streaming this. I think I'm going to choose YouTube. Ain't that easy? All right, I am looking at chat. Hello, hello. All right. So welcome everybody. Let's gather all of our ingredients. And I'm going to go over all those ingredients one more time with you. We'll be making 2 dishes today in our cooking stream. Kick off spring with some nice spicy Hyderabadi food. We'll be making Hyderabadi chicken curry and Bagara rice. Both of these go extremely well with each other. It's going to be a delicious stream. It's going to be delicious food to enjoy with your families. So be ready. Starting things off, I have some empty bowls here, which I'll be filling with some ingredients that you have seen from the ingredient list. And what I am also going to tell you is the quantity of the ingredients, because some of these ingredients can be very, very spicy, burning your tongue and maybe even burning your gut. So we need to be very, very careful with our ingredients today. But otherwise, if you're using them modestly, you should have a very delicious dish by the end of our stream today. Okay. We ready? Cool. So firstly, I'm going to just use whatever comes to my hand right now. I'm going to use this coriander powder. This is an ingredient that has a lot of earthy notes to it. And I'm going to use this in my chicken dish, the curry dish. And if you see, I am using currently a teaspoon measure. I'm going to use like this is a 1/4 teaspoon measure, but I am going to be using quite a bit of that. So I put 1/4 and a half, and 1/3 is what 1 teaspoon. 1 teaspoon, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people in the house today. So for cooking for 7 people, I want to do another extra teaspoon of coriander powder. There we go. That looks good. It adds a lot of earthy note to our dish. The other very important thing to remember also is it's very bitter. Coriander powder, ground coriander, extremely bitter. If you add too much, your dish is going to start becoming very bitter. So I would avoid a lot of that. So if you're getting a shot of this one, this is how much I'll be using in my chicken dish today. And that's, we are done with coriander powder. Next up, I'm going to go with the whole spice ingredients. this is my wife's collection of whole spices that we use. So firstly, turmeric. Now turmeric, if you did not know, is an antimicrobial, which is an antibiotic as well. So whenever you know you're bleeding on your wound, you can apply turmeric on that. In our villages back in my day, we used to use that as first aid to stop bleeding. It is extremely good. It's harmless, and you can quote me on that as well. So how much of this are we going to be using? We also have another bowl here that's called the activator. We'll be reusing all of these ingredients one more time for the dish, but this is the ingredient that's going to go into our marinade. The first step to any Indian cooking is going to be marinade. We are going to be cutting our chicken up. We are going to marinate our chicken using some yogurt base, as you see here, and these spices are going to go into our marinade. We need these spices to get stuck to our marinade and mix well, so that you have all the flavors going into your chicken, the muscle tissue absorbing all of that spice from the marinade. So what I'm doing here is it's a very tiny teaspoon again. I'm using 1 teaspoon of turmeric and another half teaspoon of turmeric. And then I've asked in the ingredient list for caraway seed. So if you found the caraway seed, then that's fine. We can use the caraway seed. Another substitute ingredient for caraway seed is cumin. So I have 2 of those ingredients, caraway and cumin, in here, and I'm going to be using caraway for my dish. This is again going to be a lot of more of that earthy note. The turmeric, the reason why we use turmeric is because we are cooking meat, and if it has any kind of bacteria or something like that, like I said, this antibiotic is going to kill it. Okay, so I'm going to use a pinch of caraway seed. Let's not do pinch. I'm going to use the same teaspoon measure for my caraway. That's going to be 1 teaspoon, and then that's going to be the 2nd teaspoon of caraway. Now if you want a little bit of a mixed flavor, what you can do is you can also do a 2:1 ratio of 2 teaspoons of caraway seed, 1 teaspoon of cumin, and maybe another teaspoon, because we have 7 people. The only thing is that I've not cooked for 7 people before, so I have to kind of do some math in my head. So I'm going to go for doubling up on my measures on the caraway here, and then another half teaspoon of cumin. So the total for 7 people, what I just did is 4 teaspoons of 4 very tiny teaspoons. I want to say this is a half a teaspoon. So I did 2 teaspoons of caraway seed, 1 teaspoon of cumin. That's going to be going not into our marinade. This is going to be, we are going to be using it when we start cooking our chicken dish. And we can close this one up. Let's open one of my other whole spice box. Here we have, the smells. Anyone want to smell this? Like,
I'll smell. You gotta go in the shot.
it's like just the aromas, right?
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
This box smells like cardamom mostly. Cardamom, like I said, whole spices add a lot of aromas. So it's Indian cooking is not just about the flavor, what you feel on the tongue. It is also the smell of the food. So from here, what I'm going to be using, we will also be using some of these whole spices in our rice dish, and some of these are going to be in our chicken dish. So this is why we are going to use these modestly. For the chicken though, I'm going to be using 2 short sticks of cinnamon. And then I'm going to use a, not that one. Yeah, that's going to be for cinnamon. I also asked if you had any cloves, whole cloves. If you're using whole cloves, add like 4 whole cloves to one of your ingredients for the chicken dish. I don't have cloves today, unfortunately, and I think that is all we are going to need. Maybe even some cardamom we are going to need for the chicken. I'm going to use like 3 cloves of cardamom for my chicken, even for 7 people. Now, the reason why we don't use a lot of these whole spices in our cooking is because these overwhelm the taste on our dish. You don't want to overuse them, especially the cardamom has a lot of those sweeter notes, and I'm making a very spicy dish. I don't want to smother any of these on my tongue, so I'm going to be using those cardamom very lightly. If you overuse the cardamom, you will feel it's going to overpower your dish in the end, so 3 of those should be great for our flavors today. And 2 sticks of cinnamon should also be good. And I don't think I'm going to be using any other ingredients from in here, except another whole spice ingredient is our bay leaf right here. So for our chicken, I'm going to be using just these 2 bay leaves. I'm going to put these aside. This is going to be used for our rice dish later. I'm going to put that aside, but this is going to be for our chicken dish, just these 2 bay leaves. Again, bay leaves, all of these what you see here right now are the earthy, bitter tones. Some of them have this beautiful aromas in your flavor, and some of them also burn your throat as they go down. So that's why we are using these modestly. These are our base ingredients for the chicken dish. The next thing that I'm going to use is going to be the inverse dragon ingredient. What is an inverse dragon? My programmers, we talked about tangents and inverse tangents. An inverse dragon is when you breathe, dragons breathe fire from their mouth, right? An inverse dragon, I'll leave that to your imagination. So this is cayenne pepper. Again, I'm going to pause here. Very modestly use this ingredient because this is going to be very, very, very spicy. Again, it depends on the store that you have bought this cayenne pepper from. If you're getting this from Meyer, I don't know how hot this is going to be, but I get my cayenne pepper imported from India, authentically handmade by my mother-in-law, yeah, this is going to be super, super hot. So what they do, and also when you're buying cayenne pepper from any Indian store, what you will notice is you will get these 2 styles of cayenne pepper. One is called the Kashmiri red chili or Kashmiri cayenne pepper. So in India, if we think of India as a map, the Kashmiri chilies, they grow in the north parts of India. Here's where the Himalayas are, the mountains, right? So the mountains are extremely cold areas, and they kind of act as, and chilies grow there, of course. And then the cold area, the cold weather climate of the north part of India in the Himalayas acts as a nice preservative. So what you will notice in Kashmiri chilies or cayenne peppers grown in the north of India are very colorful. They're extremely vibrant. You don't even need any more food coloring. Your food is just gonna automatically turn red if you're using the cayenne peppers from North India. However, because they are so under cold weather, you're going to realize that their spice level is not that much. They're not that hot as you go down South India, and then there's this blend of the spice chart going from mild, medium, hot to the extreme hot as you come down the map of India. So yeah, Kashmiri chili powder or Kashmiri cayenne pepper, this is going to just be used for adding color and some flavor notes of cayenne to our food. But this cayenne pepper that I have is imported from South India. This is going to be extremely, extremely spicy. So for our dish, I am going to be using this very modestly, and if you see, I have here a teaspoon measure, and I'm going to be cooking for 7 people, so I am going to use 1 teaspoon and maybe just another teaspoon, 2 teaspoons. I think this is the spice lover in me pushing me to use 2 teaspoons of cayenne, but I'm also cooking for 7 people. I think 1 teaspoon should be good if you're using it in your home cooking. We will be using a lot of yogurt on the side in our marinade as well, and that should tone down or smother some of the hotter notes that you receive from cayenne. We will additionally be using more cayenne pepper in our activator, like I said, so all of these ingredients are not going anywhere yet. That's that. Next up we have garam masala, another very extreme and delicate ingredient. This also should be used very, very carefully. Now this is a store-bought garam masala that I got from an Indian store as well, but this should contain a lot of ingredients. So most of these whole spices that you see that we've already placed out, those spices are ground up. Most of those spices are ground up to make a mixture, and that mixture in India is known as the garam masala basically. So what you see here in the garam masala, usually you have notes of coriander, notes of red chili powder, which is just basically the cayenne pepper again, cumin, black pepper, cinnamon, clove, mace, star anise, salt, bay leaf, and fennel seeds. So all of that mixture is ground up into this garam masala. Some of the garam masalas also include cardamom in them, but in down south, in South India, we don't use cardamom that much in our cooking. So I am going to be using this garam masala. Now this is a tablespoon that I have, but look at how much I'm going to be using for my dish here, for my marinade. This is going to go in my marinade. I would say about half a teaspoon or a teaspoon of garam masala should go into this dish. I think that's good enough for my marinade for 7 people as well. I'm using a teaspoon, I want to say. Even if you are using a teaspoon for your dish, I think you should be good because the ingredients that we find here in the West are kind of toned down already. Awesome. Then in the ingredients list, you would also find minced ginger and minced garlic, or ginger paste and garlic paste. I have included them as 2 different things because most of the time in Meijer, in your local grocery store, you don't find ginger and garlic as a singular paste together. So that's why I included them separately. But ginger and garlic paste is something that, again, my mother-in-law hand makes this and sends this to me. So this is an authentic dish imported from India very recently. So this is absolutely fresh. And I'm going to be using this when we start marinating our chicken and after cutting our chicken. Of course, we'll also be using our yogurt in our marinade and some lime juice. Or if you're using a fresh lime, if you have a lime as well, cut half of that lime into 2 halves and only use 1 half in the marinade when the time comes. But otherwise, I'm going to be using some concentrated lime juice. And obviously, we will also be using some salt. So I'm going to remember to keep that aside and use that. And then we'll also be using 1 red onion for this dish. And the other red onion is going to be for our rice dish. So I'm going to keep this aside as well. I don't need any of these. And absolutely we'll be needing some cilantro. So this is my cilantro. And here what you see overall is going to be the entire ingredient list for the chicken dish. The first dish that we'll be making, the chicken dish, this is the entire ingredient list. And I'm going to see if I have any questions right now. Right. Anybody have any questions? Anybody have any allergies to these? I know there's some dairy allergies going around. So if anybody has any allergies to these ingredients, if anybody wants any substitutes or alternate ingredient requests, please let me know in the chat. I am right now. I'm looking at my the YouTube streams chat. So if you can post anything on the YouTube streams chat, I can also pull up my Twitch to see. Okay. Oh, happy birthday, Gingchi. I hope you have a wonderful birthday. I hope this dish adds all that spice and deliciousness to your meal that you're about to have for lunch. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining. Awesome. So I don't see any questions anymore. So I'm going to start cutting up chicken. So I've thawed some nice portion of chicken. I am going to be showing you what I'll be using for this dish as well. So I have 3 bags, again for 7 people. I'll be using, I want to say 1.5 bag. Each of these bags is about, I want to say, this was 6 bags in total that I got from Costco, and it says it was 11 pounds or 11 and a half, so I'm going to go with 12. So I think each bag is going to be about 2 pounds. And I'm going to use 3 pounds of thighs. So that's going to be one of these bags, and maybe a couple of portions. Maybe I want to use 2.5 to 3 pounds of thighs. Now these are bone-in thighs. Okay, these are bone-in thighs. The reason why I like bone portions and I don't want to cook my curries with boneless chicken is because bones have an amazing flavor. Again, when you boil them in the concoction that we are about to make, it just releases a lot of these juices from the bones, from the bone marrow, into the curry, into the gravy, and you are going to feel good. It's super delicious. I'm already salivating talking about that. So this is skin on, bone in chicken thighs. I'm also going to be using some of the skin portion, but I'm going to get rid of most of that skin, because skin, what does skin contain? Anybody?
Fat.
Fat, and starts with a C. Collagen, yes. C. Yes. Cholesterol. A lot of it. A lot of it. Okay. So avoid skin as much as you can. So if you are avoiding any kind of cholesterol, do not have skin. But again, anything that is bad always tastes good, right? So I'm going to be using some of the skin from this chicken very modestly, some of the skin even from my drumstick very modestly. So I have some different portions. I'm only using like 4 drumsticks in this cooking. And I'm going to be using, like I said, 2.5 to 3 pounds of chicken for this dish. And for all of that, I think this marinade sounds good. Again, I'm going to look at the color of my marinade and adapt, because I've never cooked for 7 people, but I am going to show you the portion size for 4 to 7 people, how you can make for that chicken. So firstly, let's cut up the drumsticks. I'm going to place this aside. I'm going to release the drumsticks. That's 1 down. I'm going to cut open the thighs as well. I'm not going to be using all of these thighs today. But I'm going to be using one for sure. And then I'm going to cut open this one. And I don't think I'm going to be using all of the thigh from in the second one. I'm going to take like maybe these 2 pieces, that's it. There's like 2 more in here. I'm going to only use that half bag. Perfect. And I'm going to put this in my freezer for now. And there we go. Now we gotta wash this chicken, and then we also have to make sure we cut off some of the skin. I'm only gonna be using skin so much, so most of this is gonna go away. Especially, I think I can ditch the skin from the drumsticks, and then I can use the skin from the thighs, and that should be good. These are also having a lot of fat in them, so that's gonna be fun. So firstly, because it's meat, I'm gonna start washing my chicken. And after the first wash, don't squeeze your chicken too hard. That's going to tenderize your meat and make them inedible, like you won't feel like you're chewing meat anymore. But make sure we're going to get that blood out of here as much as we can. But don't worry, there's a lot of bone marrow, there's a lot of blood in bone marrows usually. And then I'm going to start draining it. You don't have to completely drain it because we are going to cut this chicken up, and we are also going to wash this one more time. I'm going to trash all of these empty bags here very carefully. Perfect. Now, if you did not know, I'm going to show you a trick on how you can remove the skin from a drumstick. Anybody know the trick? How to easily peel off the skin from a drumstick?
Chew it off.
The what?
Chew it off.
Chew it off. No. Don't do that. Don't do that. You did not hear it. Don't do that. Don't eat raw meat. Don't consume raw meat. It has a lot of bacteria. So it's going to be very slimy, right? So when I try to pull this off, it's going to be very slimy. But my wife taught me a trick. So you take a paper towel. You take a paper towel, and then you hold the drumstick in one hand. You hold the skin. You squeeze the skin into the paper towel from the other hand with the other hand, and just pull it off. Just get a better grip from the paper towel, and boom, easy peasy. Right? I'm going to just place this piece of skin right there, but I'm going to be doing the same trick with all the other drumsticks. You can continue using the same paper towel, and I'm going to just get a nice grip on the skin here from the drumstick, and comes off very easily like that. There's another drumstick. Again, hold it, and easy. And finally, we have our last drumstick. Easy. And there we go. Now I'm going to throw all of this in the trash. And voila. That's great. Now I'm going to get my cutting board to cut my chicken. Right here, I'm not going to be needing this parer anymore. And I also have my amazing knife here, butcher's knife. It's not a butcher's knife, it's a santoku, but there we are. So firstly, what we are going to do is we are going to cut them into some edible portions of chicken, so they're nice, easily chewable, that you can, one bite can just go into your mouth at any time. And of course, for the drumsticks, we are not going to do that. We're not going to cut them apart. We're going to make the shape of the drumstick be just like that. I'm going to show you some other tricks though. I'm going to show you some other tricks on how you can cut the meat up in these chicken to make the pieces way better. So one thing is, if you're getting a shot of this one, one thing about a drumstick is that this is going to be the meatiest part in a chicken. All your flavor from the marinade should be absorbed by this portion. Now what's going to end up happening when you're marinating is that because of how thick and deep the meat is going to be on the drumstick, not all of that marinade is going to go deep into and get absorbed by the muscle tissue here. So what we do to ease that process up is we are going to put some gashes on these meats, some cuts on the meat itself. What that is going to do is when we put all of our ingredients, when we put all of our masalas and our spices in our marinade, in that yogurt mixture, that's going to make it go inside the muscle very easily, and the entire drumstick is going to become flavorful and not just the portions of that you see on the top, right? So if you bite into a drumstick when you're eating, you want the whole drumstick to have the flavor. And what's going to end up happening is you're going to see some nice color on the outer texture, but when you bite in, you will not see. You will see white meat inside. Otherwise, so very easy. I'm going to put one gash wherever you like, and how many ever gashes you want, you can start putting. So see that deep and nice cut. I'm going to put another one right there. I'm going to put another one right here. And 3 should be good. Now here's another trick to drumsticks though. This is chicken anatomy 101. Okay. One thing about chicken is that you're going to notice these white, I don't know if you can zoom in on this one. You got to zoom in on from the top? Okay, this one, okay, cool. So what you're going to notice is these white tendons. Now what is a tendon? A tendon is a piece in a body that connects muscle to the bone, right? So this one, this is this white portion that you see here, this line goes all the way to the top. What this is doing is this line, or this tendon, is pulling all of that muscle, and then that's connecting it to the end of this bone right here. Now what's going to end up happening is, because when we boil our chicken, when we start cooking our chicken, this tendon is going to constrict. It's going to pull all of this together, and what's going to happen is that the meat is going to start pulling off of that bone. If you want the meat to stay on the bone, if you want to have all of this muscle to stay on the bone, then we got to cut off the connection from the tendon. So we got to disconnect the muscle from the bone by cutting off the tendon, like a simple small cut down here where you see this white, a thick white line right there. I'm going to make a cut like that, and you should see some fibers coming out now out of this chicken, but that's a good sign. Right there. So you see these mix of fibers right here. This is what was connecting. This right here is the tendon. That is what was connecting the muscle, the meat, to the bone. We disconnected that. Now when we are cooking, this portion of the muscle is going to stay upwards, and none of it's going to get pulled down towards this tendon, and that is exactly where we want our meat to be. We want it to be towards the top half of the bone. There's another tendon as well that is going to be pulling. There's 2 tendons connecting. So you see here, this tendon's already coming off loose, but you can always make another cut on this tendon as well. And this is only for the drumstick pieces. Most of them don't. Oh, this is already disconnected. Look at that. This tendon was already disconnected, so that is good. So we just have to ensure that nothing is stopping or nothing is pulling this drumstick downwards, so that all of that meat stays up. And we can make, again, whenever you find any thick portion of meat, you can always make an additional cut on that. This is to ensure that all of the masalas and all of the marinade that we are going to be using is going deep into that muscle tissue. Now this piece is ready. And we are going to just put it back in here. We're going to repeat the same process with the other drumsticks. And again, start with the gashes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, not too deep, because if you go too deep with these gashes too, all of that meat is going to pull off of the bone, and you're not going to find it nice to when you're consuming it. And again, you'll see this white line right here. This is the tendon that we have. And then I'm going to you might need a sharper knife. Tendons are extremely hard to go through. And there we go. So all of those fibers are just cut tendons, disconnected tendons. That's that. It's okay. All of that is going to be taken care of once we cook this. All of this is going to get what do you say? Constricted, condensed together. Is going to pull itself upwards. You're not even going to notice it after cooking. I only see that one was being very important. There's another one right here. Nice and easy. Perfect. That's a beautiful cut out of the tendon. All right, and again, looking at the back, maybe another couple extra gashes, and we're good. Let's move on to the next one. Same process. 3 for this one. It's not a big drumstick. And then here's the tendon right there. Disconnect it from the meat. Now some people also don't like these tendons, so they pull the entire tendon out after cutting and disconnecting these. But I don't mind the tendon staying in. And we're ready with that piece as well. That was 3 down. Now we're down to our last drumstick. There we go. 3 gashes. There you see this tendon right here. And that's a cut tendon, just like that. A couple more gashes here. There we go. Beautiful. And now that was our drumstick part. Now we are going to come into our thighs. Now the thighs, these are bone-in thighs. Again, this bone is going to add a lot of flavor. So if you see, I got some nice cut bones over here as well. All of this, when it's boiling, the blood, the bone marrow is going to get into our gravy deep and add that amazing flavor to our chicken curry. Now, all of this part that you see here that I'm pulling apart is the skin. So now for this one, you can additionally again use the same the paper towel trick. Otherwise, the skin from the thighs comes off very easily. You don't need a paper towel. So you see, that's the skin that we have. Now for even the skin parts, you will notice some of these yellow portions on the skin. Others are going to be this natural pale pink color. Now I am going to get rid of the yellow portions of this skin, and then I'm also going to cut the skin into like 3 portions. I'm going to be using this skin in my cooking today as well. I don't want to waste some delicious cholesterol. All right, I'm going to put that aside. And I'm going to be now, for a thigh, again, I'm going to keep the bone part intact. I want some of the meat to be on the bone as well. So I'm going to find a spot where I don't find the bone when I'm going down, cutting it. And I want to cut this into 2 halves first. There we go. 2 beautiful halves. And then I want to cut out some pieces that are edible size pieces. So something of this size should be great. This again is going to shrink down as we are cooking. So I'm going to have another cut right there around the bone, and I'm going to keep all of this piece intact, all of this bone and meat around it intact. But otherwise, this is the kind of size I am going for every bite-sized chicken that's going to go into our curry. This portion, the yellow portion of the skin, I'm not going to be using that, so I'm going to just put it aside for now. That's discard. And then again, same thing here. This one nicely cuts down to 3 portions or 3 bite-sized pieces right there. So kind of every thigh kind of comes down to these many pieces. As you can see, I'm going to use all of these pieces in my cooking. So I'm going to full send everything inside. And again, I'm going to bring another one. All right, I'm going to do the same thing. Pull off the skin first. I don't like the skin to be on the meat. I like it when it's kind of separated out, because we'll be eating this with rice, right? It's not going into any kind of like a fried dish that needs to be consumed by itself. It's not a standalone dish. This is going to be great with rice or even chapati or roti, naan, those kind of bread. So I'm going to be, that is why I don't want the chicken, the skin to be on the meat. We want to separate the skin out, divide it into 3 chunks, and then continue with our bone. Now here's the bone right there. All right. And I'm going to make a nice cut straight down, just like that. Cut off some of the extra meat. Now this one's super huge with all that. I could leave it, but my instinct tells me that that's going to be a large piece in a plate. I don't like large pieces in a plate. So I'm going to have to slice it down this way, just getting the angles right. Oh, it's slimy. There we go. And then again, divide that by 2. There we go. And here's the other half. Now this can also come down. I can cut this straight in half from here. Oh, everything's becoming slimy now. All right. And there we go. Beautiful. All of this can also now go in. It's going to be a while. The preparation is the only thing that's going to take time. The cooking happens in like 20 minutes. Both the dishes under 20 minutes of cook time. There we have our skin again. Now for this one, I see a large portion of yellow on that. I'm not going to be using that. I see the bone right there. There we go. This one goes into 2. All right. Great stuff. Don't speed up. Be very careful when you are cutting. There, you see this huge yellow portion on the skin? I'm going to be cutting its tail off. I'm not going to use that because it's dried up. That portion's dried up a lot. It's not going to have enough saturation. It's not going to have a lot of flavor. Sweet. There we go. There's a lot of meat on this one too, so I'm gonna have to do that. And then do that. Perfect. I have 2 more to go, and then we will be good with the quantity of chicken. I forgot to place some gashes on the back of this drumstick. There's a small one. Again, pull the skin.
I have a question, Varun.
What's up?
How often do you make this dish, and how many people do you make it for?
Ooh. So this is my favorite dish. Almost, I want to say, we have it cooked once or more than once every week. And then we also, make a lot of portion, and then we store it in our fridge. It stays good usually for like 2, maybe 3 days. We'll just be pushing. Now, if you see in the ingredient list also, I have included coconut milk. If you are using coconut milk in this dish, then that's going to make this perish quicker. Coconut gets bad quicker. So if you're using coconut, I would say consume this dish within 24 hours. Within 48, it's still going to be pushing it, but consume it within 24 hours. But yeah, we store it for like 3 days, up to 3 days. I eat this with rice. That's my favorite combination. When I cook it, I make it extremely spicy, but my wife is very, very modest with using spice. So she makes it. When she cooks for human beings. When I cook for the devil, right? So yeah, this is and we have this very, very often. And this is my favorite comfort food. I want to say lamb or goat. Goat is my favorite food, but we rarely ever find goat here in the United States. So I think I'm okay with this. That answer your question, Tegan?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. And if anyone has any questions in the chat, if you can look at chat and ask me their questions as well, I am going to answer if they have any questions.
None right now.
All right.
Nothing's happening. Let me check.
On the other streams as well, like Facebook and
Nothing on Facebook.
okay. There we go. That's a nice chunk. Almost there. Perfect. All right, now let's first wash our hands, wash all of this off, trash everything that we don't need. I am done with the meat knife. There we go, nice and good. Excellent. Yes.
What's your favorite part about cooking and least favorite part about cooking? Make sure you do it because Keegan's not like
So, the question was, what's my favorite part of cooking and what's my least favorite part of cooking?
Yes.
What I did just now is my least favorite part of cooking, is the cleaning up part of cooking. And my favorite part about cooking is the passion and the love, and even without eating, even without consuming food, knowing what ingredients are going to go into my body, into my mouth, and what I'm going to feel, consuming that food. That's my favorite part. And then ultimately, of course, I cannot lie, it's the consumption part of it as well. So when I'm eating, when I'm ready, that part. There. Okay, so now we have to wash this chicken for the second time, just because we've cut them into nice and edible pieces. Just put in some water. All of the blood is now exposed, and I'm going to be just rinsing the chicken in some water. And then in this cleaning process also, what you will notice, a lot of that fat is going to get away. Not a lot, but some of that fat is going to get away, which is good if you're, again, concerned about the number of calories that there are going to be in this meal, which is going to be a lot of calories in our meal today because we're using a lot of skin, a lot of fat. But at the same time, a lot of protein. I don't use chicken breast in my cooking. That's because the breast is always, it's white meat, gets hard real quick, feels chewy, and it's not that juicy when compared to the dark meat. The dark meat portions are usually more flavorful. So all right, there's still some moisture present in our chicken, but most of the water is now drained out. Now this chicken is like inviting the marinade mixture. And this is where it all starts, our marinade. So don't worry, we have to get our hands dirty one more time anyway. Let me just pull this out. So, firstly, we need the yogurt. Now, I'm using a Greek yogurt, low fat, plain, no flavors. Again, you don't want strawberry flavored chicken. And you can use non-fat as well, or low fat, is up to you. Greek yogurt is much more condensed much more thicker than the regular yogurt that you get in a grocery store. That's the thickness and is what makes this a better binder. So why we use yogurt in our marinades? Let me explain. Yogurt is going to bring out a lot of gravy for us. This is the one thing that's going to make our gravy thicker, right? The other thing is it's used as a nice binder tool. A binder tool for all of the dry spices that you see. Everything is a ground ingredient that you see here. Most of these powders, they need some kind of binding agent to bind them to the muscle tissue so that the muscle tissue can absorb all of that. So we use yogurt for exactly that purpose. So I'm going to be using this large spoon here, and then I'm going to be breaking into my yogurt. This could be, I think, a little bit less than a cup, 3/4 of a cup is what I would say. This is another 3/4 of a cup. And I'm making this for 7 people, so this is another 3/4 and a little bit more. I want to say it's about 3/3, 4 cups of yogurt that I just put in. I am already making a mess. Dun, 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 dun. And again, I'm going to be mixing all of these ingredients to notice the consistency of what I'm getting, and then I'm going to add more of this yogurt if need be. I'm going to put that aside. That's yogurt first. Next ingredient I'm going to be using is going to be this lime juice. Now, if you have a fresh cut lime already, and that's good, squeeze 1/2 of that lime into this marinade. Otherwise, I'm going to be using like 4, maybe 5 sprinkles, because I'm making this for 7 people. And there we have it. That's good enough. Again, the lime kind of removes the foul smell, the foul flavor of meat. And that's what we want. We don't want our food to be smelling raw, uncooked, or nasty. Now we have that. The next ingredient I'm going to use is going to be that turmeric. We have here 2 teaspoons of turmeric. That all goes in this mixture. And then I'm going to use the ground coriander. This is the ground coriander, and that goes in. Then comes the garam masala, and then that goes in. And then finally comes the cayenne pepper. Now this is 2 teaspoons of cayenne pepper. That's going in. Additionally, what I'm going to do for my guests who arrived here, I'm going to use this Kashmiri chili powder. Now this is optional. You don't have to do this if you don't have it. It's a rare to find ingredient, and this one is unavailable at Meijer, so I couldn't include this in the ingredient list. But the Kashmiri chili powder, I'm going to use another teaspoon of that. This is only going to be, now you can notice the 2 different colors as well. One of them is going to be like in the orange color, the other one is going to be in that kind of redder maroonish tone, and that's what adds that kind of color to our chicken. And salt is the next ingredient. Now again, this is going to be to taste, but for what I have made here for 7 people cooking, I am going to be using, this is a 1 teaspoon measure. I'm going to be using exactly 1 teaspoon for all of this. I'm also going to be using this salt in my activator later. So I'm just being modest right now. I think maybe add just a pinch more of salt. That's good, that's good, that's good. And now it's the time to, oh, ginger garlic paste, or ginger and minced ginger and minced garlic. So if you have minced garlic and minced ginger, now here I have a half tablespoon measure. So I am going to be using a whole tablespoon, as you can see, a whole tablespoon of that ginger and garlic paste, and then another half tablespoon more of the ginger garlic. Now these are exact 1:1 proportions. So if you divide 2 tablespoons, that's going to be 1 tablespoon of ginger and then 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. 1 tablespoon of minced ginger, 1 tablespoon of minced garlic that went into this one. And now we are ready to get our hands dirty and mix this concoction. All right. So again, you might find it easier to use another spatula to kind of mix all of these ingredients, but what I like to do is I like to have my hand go in and make sure that all of that texture, all of the muscle tissue of the chicken is absorbing all of these ingredients right in here. So there we go, nice and smooth. Yep, I think the yogurt wise, I am good. That's like good enough yogurt. Now immediately what you will notice is how the colors, how that yogurt has absorbed all of that marinade very quickly, very easily, and all of the ingredients, all of the dry spices are now in, and you have this nice kind of singular tone of color across everywhere within seconds. That's why we use the yogurt. And then notice these gashes that we've placed on the drumsticks. Make sure you wiggle your finger inside them, so you're rubbing the the marinade, making them go into those tiny gaps. Now find everything, find all of that, and make sure your marinade is nicely going into the muscle tissue. So whenever you find that, also give your pieces, the chicken, a little bit of a squeeze, just so that like you're pressing the marinade to go into the tissue. So any tiny gaps that are going to be in the tissue are going to nicely absorb all of this. But I want to say, just a small press. Don't press it too hard so as to break the entire muscle there. Do not do it. Just a tiny press, like, see, a gentle squeeze is what I'm giving whenever I am mixing it. And that looks good already. Are you able to get the smell of this already from around there? Yeah. Now, this smell that you're going to get from this concoction should already be amazing. If you've used the ginger garlic, most of the dominating smell that you're going to be seeing here is just going to be the ginger and garlic. But then the other thing that I want to do now is do a taste test. Now, I don't recommend doing this to you guys, okay? Do not do what I am doing. What I want to do is I want to see if all of my ingredients are right, to do a taste check. But the reason why I did not want you guys to do this is because this is raw meat. Do not consume raw meat. I'm not going to consume raw meat. I am only taking, just the bits of the marinade that I have here, like off of my fingers, and
So you're eating raw meat.
kind of. Not raw meat, but just the mixture.
We need to have disclaimers built into the system.
All right, it's already packing some punch from what I can tell. Okay. I think the salt is good. The other flavors are good. I think we are good. I think this is cool. I don't think I'm going to need anything. More of these ingredients anyway are going to go into the activator. So I think I'm satisfied with the marinade. Now, let me wash my hand. Made a little boo-boo. All right. So, usually what we do is the marinade also has like a tiny secret that is if you refrigerate this overnight for like 12 hours, that is the best because the muscle, the meat, needs a lot of time for it to absorb all of these ingredients into it. So it is advised that you, if you're making this at another time, not today, at another time, that you refrigerate this concoction, refrigerate all of this, like use a wrap, not aluminum, what is the clear wrap?
Saran wrap.
Yeah, saran wrap. Use a saran wrap around this one and then just refrigerate it overnight. Don't put it in the freezer, don't freeze it, just refrigerate it overnight. 12 to 16 hours of refrigeration should be great for it to be cooked the next day, and this is you will immediately notice how powerful the flavor notes are gonna turn, especially with the cayenne pepper. When it's like frozen, when it's cooled down, you're gonna feel not only the flavor of cayenne but also the heat from the cayenne is gonna show right there. But we'll be prepping our rice dish next. This is why the marinade, I want to just marinate this for another maybe 10-15 minutes at least for the meat to absorb all of that concoction. So I'm going to refrigerate this in the meantime. Perfect. Get that ring back on. And cool. Now comes the veggies part of this dish. Now, if you ask me, I'm not a fan of veggies, but let's chop some onion now. We are going to be needing two types of onions. This is why I have two onions. One of them is going to be sliced, thinly sliced onion. That's going to be for our rice dish. The other onions, we're just going to dice the onions, and that's going to be for our chicken dish. There are two tricks to cutting onions. When you're cutting onions or when you're chopping onions, you're gonna tear up, right? You're gonna cry. So there are many ways to avoid this. One of my friends taught me another cool way of chopping onions is using a saran wrap as a visor. So you become Cyclops with the saran wrap, and then when you're chopping onions, you don't feel the heat from the onions and you don't get teary-eyed. But that blocks my vision too much, so I don't use that as a trick. There's another good trick, a better trick, which is I'm going to be using some water, and then after chopping up my onions, I'm going to place them in water for a while, and that's going to just tone down the heat coming from the onions. So what I like to do with my onions, I'm going to cut the one half or the one side and then the other side of the onion, and then start peeling it off. Peeling only the outer shell, only the extreme outer. Once you start seeing the shiny center, once you start seeing something shiny like that one, then stop. This is the layer I'm not gonna use. Some people like to use that layer as well. I just don't like that, the difference in color once we start cooking. So now you see this is nice and shiny piece of onion, and I'm gonna just place this aside for now because I can do both of those onions together. I'm going to do the same thing with my other onion. Cut the head off, cut the tail off, and then peel off the first outer layer until you see the shiny part inside the onion.
Servings does this make?
The onion?
No, the whole dish. Somebody's asking on YouTube.
So this makes for 7 people. I am cooking right now for 7 people. 7 is the number. All right, now I have these 2 onions. I am not crying yet, so that's a good sign. But once I start cutting into this onion, that's when I'm going to start tearing up. So for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place those 2 onions aside. I have all of this trash. This is going to go into the trash. Ooh, that was nice. That was fun. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I am going to cut this onion in half first. Don't look at it, and immediately put this in water. And then do the same thing with the other one as well. Cut this in half and put this in water. That's it. Now nobody's crying. Not yet. Not yet. All right. Now let most of that flavor of onion be absorbed by the water here. It's not going to completely go away, but it's definitely going to tone it down a little bit. So I'm going to bring 2 halves, and I'm going to start slicing this onion. Now this is going to be for our rice dish first. So thin, nice and thin. Now I could be doing this a little bit quicker, but the problem is I have injuries on my fingers. That's going to slow me down anyway. Oh. Okay, I've never done it in this angle, but no, you're good. See that thin slice, you guys? That's what I'm aiming for. This is what I'm aiming for. That's the thin slice of onion. Some of them are not going to be that thin, but it's okay. Anybody crying?
Not yet. No.
So it's working.
It's working.
The trick's working.
It is working. Saran wrap would have been funnier, but
See, the thing is, I'm starting to cry now. Because this needs to go in that water for a longer time, but we don't have that time, so and then the other part, I'm just going to slice it this way. There. nice and fine and sliced. One half done, and I'm going to be using the other half. I don't think I'll be needing to do this with the other half. I'm going to use this for the chicken as well. I'm only going to use the half onion. It's already very big. I don't need this this part. This is the only thing that I'm going to be using. Only the half onion cut, sliced in the rice dish. Whew! That burned for a few seconds, but I think I'm good.
Show must go on. You need to take a minute for yourself. It's okay.
Yeah. So runny nose after that you know the tears.
I don't think your trick worked.
The what?
I don't think your trick worked.
Yeah. No. So the other three halves, I promise I'm not gonna cry for any of those because they're soaking in water, nice and good, and I'm not gonna be cutting them for a while at least now.
Do you ever try putting them in the fridge, or would that ruin the dish?
Yeah, that can also be done. It's no problem. With onions, you can also store onions in fridge. Cut onions in fridge. That's gonna also lower the burn when you're chopping them. But again, the flavor here is I don't want to miss that flavor, so I'm gonna be using this some heat at least in my dish now. Now, I think we have so all of these I had prepped for the chicken dish earlier. So I'm going to bring more ingredients for the rice dish. So I'm going to do this again from scratch. I'm going to put all of these aside and bring them back again when I'm making the rice dish. The chicken dish. But for the rice, here's what we have. I'm going to be using 2 bay leaves for the rice, and then I'm going to be using some cilantro and mint. I'm going to have to chop up, actually not chop, but snap some leaves from this mint. This is fresh mint for mint. So this is what we're going to do for mint. I am going to wash it first. So use this one. And there. And then
The apprentice asks, "Oh yeah, what happened to your finger, if you don't mind me asking?"
I just had a surgery recently on my finger. There was a glass shard inside, had it removed.
And how long did you have this glass inside you?
For over 2 months. It was hiding inside and I couldn't even feel it for a while. It was very fine and very tiny. So I'm just plucking some of these leaves off of the mint. You don't have to be extremely careful, but I'm very picky with my dishes.
Because you're like picking the leaves off.
Yeah, I like picking the leaves off. Oh, the smell of mint. It's like really, really good. And not only that, you know, mint is such a dish you can just have a leaf just like that.
Do you know what the benefits of mint are?
Mint is adds a lot of freshness. The benefits are just it's a veggie. It's heavy in fiber, and mint additionally has a lot of oils in it. So if you were to grind this mint up in like a blender, you will start to see, if you grind it too much, a lot of the oils from the leaf are going to ooze out, and that's going to turn the mint very bitter. Now those oils are also good. The only thing I would say is mint is only used for that kind of fresh flavor, the freshness to the food, the smell, even in drinks, when you just put in a sprig of mint aside, it just makes the entire drink refreshing. So I'm using some of these. I think I have a good enough number of mint here. I might also be chopping this mint a little bit So just taking the big leaves to save us some time. I think that should be good enough for our rice. And then just a few. And be very careful when cutting veggies. Your fingers get in the way.
Oh my.
Now that's industry grade Band-Aid, you guys. Don't worry about it.
Sounds delicious.
All right. We have our mint. The next thing is gonna be our cilantro. It's the same thing, but this time for cilantro though, I'm gonna wash it again. And then cut some of these. I'm going to cut the bigger stems in, just like that. And then chop them into some finer. All right, we've chopped up some cilantro there as well.
Benefits of cilantro.
Again, freshness, earthy notes, and yeah, just the smell, the aroma. All right. Okay, we are almost there now. Now, starting up with our rice dish. I am making this in a crock pot. So if you're using a crock pot, that is well and good. If you're not using a crock pot, if you have any rice cooker, then that is also good. If you don't have a rice cooker, then you can also use another natural pot on your stove, on the burner, and cook rice like that as well. So if you see now, I'm going to open this up. I'm going to start this. I think I'm going to have to click on rice right there. Oh no, saute. I'm going to do the saute, and that's it. It's going to take its time to heat up. There it goes. And then we need two additional ingredients here. We need our oil, our cooking oil. Now I'm using avocado oil. If you're using canola oil or vegetable oil, that is also fine. And then an additional ingredient that I asked of you guys is going to be ghee. This is clarified butter. And this tastes really, really yummy. Any of you guys had ghee before?
No.
No?
Ghee whiz, I have not.
Oh my God.
I wore ghee when I did karate.
Let me give you a taste test of ghee. Hey, well, it's butter. You like butter, right? Butter, cheese.
No, I have high cholesterol. I don't eat
What makes you know what?
that. They can eat ghee.
Cholesterol.
Yeah, this is a lot of cholesterol. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. So what makes this special compared to butter?
So this is clarified butter. So if you heat up butter for a very, very, very long time, and also your house, when you're heating butter that much, is going to smell nasty. It's going to smell really bad. But then all the impurities in butter are dying. All the milk protein that you have in the butter is dying. And what you end up with, the byproduct of that, is just the saturated oil out of it, the saturated fat out of that. And that is called ghee, or clarified butter. Now, here's some for you guys if you want to try that out. And let me give you a spoon. Where was it? I thought we put it somewhere here. Vaishu, abhi bhi spoon se kade. Yeah, here. Try that.
I'm an idiot.
Try that. No, try that too.
Okay.
Just a little bit, not too much. But you'll feel that, yum going down your throat.
My hands are clean.
It's just butter, but in a different flavor.
Oh yeah.
But it feels really, really good.
You have to stay in the fridge for a long time.
Okay?
You can do that. Do it long.
Oh my goodness, I love it.
Tilt down to you.
All right. So it's starting to heat up, but I'm going to wait a little bit. I see some water droplets. Once they go away, I'm sure that it's hot. And then the first thing I'm going to add to that is going to be some oil, and then I'm going to add some ghee to that mixture as well. How's life?
Good. They help your fingers feel good.
Hi Divya. Yes, actually, why should I ship this to Indianapolis? If you want to eat it, come here. Come here. We are in Michigan. Okay, so the indicator there, it says it's hot. So I am going to now put in some cooking oil. Now I'm going to say this is going to be about 2 full tablespoons of oil, or 3, actually 3. And then I'm going to use 2 teaspoons of ghee. Now this ghee as well, it tastes different depending on what milk it is made out of. And I believe that this ghee is coming from India. Again, my mother-in-law sent me that ghee. And in India, we consume the milk that comes from buffaloes as well, water buffaloes. So you will see in this ghee is made out of water buffalo milk. And I'm mixing that with some avocado oil, and now we have some really nice hot ghee and oil in that saute pan right there. The next thing I want to put in that saute pan is going to be, again, some cumin this time. So, and I'm going to measure this, show this to you first. So this is going to be my cumin cup. And I'm going to be using 1, 1 teaspoon, I want to say, 1 teaspoon of cumin. And that. Now, the good thing about cumin is the moment it touches hot oil, you're going to hear some pops. So there's going to be some poppy sounds coming up, and also the cumin is going to start dancing inside. So don't stay very close when cumin is dancing, because it can come, get you into your eyes. And also, yes, the oil is going to start sputtering as well. So stay aside. So my trick that I use is just put the cumin in and step aside. Let it do its sputter. The oil wasn't too hot, so the sputter was subtle, and that's good. And let's not let the cumin get too black. The moment you see some kind of browning, light browning, immediately we are going to be putting in our onion. The sliced onion that we've just made, put aside, that's going to go in. And then we'll give it a nice mix. And the onions are now going to take a while for them to get to like a nice golden brown color. So in that time, what I'm going to do is I am going to use some more whole spices. So if you remember, we had this bay leaf, these 2 bay leaves that I wanted to use. Those go just inside like that. I'm going to have to use another set of I'm using star anise as an extra ingredient. This is optional again. That is because I don't have any cloves. But if you have cloves, go ahead and use like 4 cloves again if you're making this rice dish. I'm going to use like a 1 and 2 small star anise, and then I'm going to use a 1. I want to say half of the half stick of cinnamon. So you see there's like these 4 very broken sticks. That's the size I'm using. This one, what was it called in English again? Some leaf. Why should you remember what japatri is called in English? Mayflower. Yes, this is dried mayflower that I will also be using. Just a little bit again. Again, this was optional in your ingredients. If you have it, you use it. Otherwise, you don't. I'm using that. And then I am also going to be using some stone flour. Just a little bit of this stone flour. All of these are like very dried ingredients. There's a whole spice, dried whole spice. This packs a lot of punch though. And then I'm going to use same 3 pods of cardamom. I'm going to also, punch them a little bit so that the cardamom from inside the shell is going to use a lot of some of its flavor to come out. Just break open them, but don't break them like completely open. And I think I'm good on the whole spice side of things. So this is it. I have some stone flour. You can avoid it if you don't have it. Star anise, but I have cinnamon sticks, just like 4 of the cinnamon sticks, 3 pods of cardamom, and if you have cloves, whole cloves, use 4 whole cloves. And these are now going to go in to the mixture here. I'm going to give it a nice mix. I want the ghee and the oil to absorb all these stronger aromas that you know are gonna start getting here. I don't know if you are getting them or not yet, but these are gonna get absorbed into the oil. Now, again, make sure the oil is not too hot. The thing is, we will be now, in a few moments, adding some water into this mixture. Now, what is going to happen when water mixes with hot oil? Anybody want to take a guess? Splatter, right? And if that is too much oil, if there's too much hot oil and it's searing hot oil, and then you put in any kind of water into it, you're going to have a fire. You're going to start a fire. I don't want you guys to be starting fires today, okay? Any day, not just today. So the content of oil, that is why that I used, is very light. That's 2 tablespoons of oil. I think it was 3 tablespoons of oil, and then 2 teaspoons of ghee. Ghee is also oil, end of the day. It's oily. So I have, the smell is already tingling. Tingling. I said tingling, not tingling. Tingling my what do you say? I'm already hungry.
Nose hairs.
Yeah, tingling my nose hairs. I am hungry.
And how long are we cooking this for?
So this, I'm waiting for the onions to just like turn a little bit like golden brown. I'm already seeing some kind of browning happening on some of my onions, and once I am satisfied with the level of golden brown, see the reason why we thinly slice those onions is also because they kind of naturally and quickly go golden brown. And oh my God, the smell from this food is already gorgeous.
When they're right when you want it to be, can you like scoop it up and show it to the camera a little bit?
Oh yeah, I can do that. It is actually happening right now, but some of the onions are not like thinly sliced as the others. It shouldn't matter, but if you see, this is the consistency I am like going for. You see that browning on that one right there, the goldening on that should be good enough. Some of the thicker onions are not gonna get that golden brown. But the other thing that I want to avoid while I'm cooking also is I don't want to see any blackening, because that's going to again change the entire flavor. So this is why I am now going to start putting in some water. Now for 7 people, I am going to be making 4 cups of rice, 4 cups of basmati rice. So here's my basmati rice, and then I'm not going to be using this cup. This cup is a bigger cup in different measurement, but I'm going to be using another cup, which is this one. This is the actual cup, and then I'm going to, oh, not rice right now. So because I'm going to be using 4 cups of rice, I'm going to be using 8 cups of water to go into the hot pot. So the same measurement, the same cup. That was 1 cup. And this is 2. Three. 4. 5.
I think that'd be 6.
That was 6?
Yes.
Yeah, I was just checking. Yeah, I was playing it. Then we have 7. And then finally, 9. 8. All right. Now, I'm going to bring this water to a boil. So what I'm going to do is, because it's basmati rice, so to cook basmati rice, you need like a 1:1 proportion if you want the rice to be soft. So if you're using 1 cup of rice, 1 cup of basmati rice, we are going to need exactly 1 cup of water for it to get perfectly cooked. Now that's going to be perfect cook on the basmati rice. But most of these dishes, especially the Bagara rice dish that we are making, shouldn't be perfectly cooked. It shouldn't be soft, is what I'm saying. The grain of rice should not be soft. It should be a little bit, how do you say, dry. Right? So for that, we should not have a lot of water in our dish. But I've already done the 1:1 ratio. And then this is going to come to some boil, and you're going to see some water evaporate. So I'm going to let that water evaporate, and then I'm going to use 4 cups of this rice going into that. Now that we've just added water, it's already heating up. And while that is happening, I'm going to use some salt now. Add that to this water. Not a lot of salt. Again, I'm going to only use 1 teaspoon. But again, it's up to your taste. 1 teaspoon of salt, maybe just a tad bit more. And that was my salt. The next thing that's coming in, I'm going to wait for it to come to a little bit of a boil, and that's when I'm going to add some mint and coriander, or mint and cilantro into that dish. And while all this is happening, our marinade is marinating. It's doing its job. Our chicken is absorbing all of those yum flavors. So while this is also coming to a boil, I want to talk about the activator, and I'm going to be preparing my activator now in this bowl right here. So what is an activator? An activator charges, so what we're going to end up doing in our cooking pot here when we start making our chicken is we'll be putting some oil in there. We're not going to be using ghee in the chicken dish, so it's only going to be oil. And then we are going to be frying some other onions. There's going to be some diced onions that we'll be putting in there, along with some caraway seed that we took aside, cumin, and some other whole spices that are going to be going in there. And that's it. So this oil is going to be absorbing all the flavors from the whole spices, from the onions, and then we are also going to be using some ginger and garlic, so minced ginger and minced garlic in that oil. Now once the oil is charged with all of that flavor, we then use an activator, which is just water mixed with all of the ingredients that we already used in our marinade. So it's almost like saying, you know, you're mixing 2 best friends together, right? So this best friend got to know what our marinade is like inside there. So we are letting this mix in here know what those ingredients are, so when the marinade comes in, they kind of nicely blend well with each other. One of them is going to be more cooked than the other, so you can find like 2 different layers of flavor in every bite, every morsel that you're going to have. Just talking about that is making me salivate. All right. And once we get to that, okay, so yeah, so the activator. So the same ingredients go into the activator, only the dry spices go into the activator. So I'm going to use my coriander powder one more time. So again, that's going to be about half a teaspoon, and then another half a teaspoon. Yeah, I think that is one full teaspoon. Again, don't use a lot of coriander powder. This is gonna be a lot of what do you say, bitter note. Then I'm gonna use the Kashmiri chili powder. Again, if you don't have this, don't use the cayenne pepper yet. I'm gonna come to that. This is gonna be again one teaspoon. This is for the coloring in our activator as well. Then we have the inverse dragon cayenne pepper. Again, I gotta use this very modestly. I'm gonna use 1 teaspoon of that. And then we are gonna use some salt. Again, this is to taste, but I'm gonna use like a half a teaspoon of salt. And then I'm going to use the turmeric from earlier. So a full teaspoon is what I would say for turmeric. And finally, garam masala. So here's my garam masala. Again, be very delicate with this garam masala, you guys. This is I'm using a tablespoon measure, but I'm going to be using like a half a teaspoon of that. That's some beautiful decoration. Look at how colorful that is, right? Masterful. So now what we're going to do with that is just simply I'm going to run some water into it, but don't run your water too hard, you guys. You're going to flush all these ingredients out of your pot. Run your water very slow, like that. And then adjust a bowl to up to 3/4 inside the bowl is what I have it full. And then I'm going to just give these ingredients just a small mix inside. This is going to be our activator. This is going to meet the ingredients that are going to be in our pot once we start cooking. And all of this happens before the marinade, the chicken even goes in. Now you can also be using warm water. I did not use warm water in this mixture, so you see these things are taking a while to dissolve. But if you're using warm water, these ingredients are going to be dissolving into this activator much quicker. Now we are not going to need any of these bowls right here. So I'm going to put them aside. All right. This is already giving me a lot of bubbles here, just a few bubbles here that are spawning now. I can see some kind of steam and smoke. I'm going to just wait a little while longer. It is not going to boil. Crock pots usually don't get the water to boiling hot. So once I am sure that it's nice and hot in there, that's when I'm going to put in my rice, and then we can forget about it for a while. And we can start cooking our chicken dish. While this is also happening, I think we can start cooking our chicken dish. So that's going to be this pot right here. Do you want this to be on the left side or this side? This side? Okay. So that is my smaller burner. This is my bigger burner. But because it's small, that's okay. You can? You sure? Okay. So I'm going to use this on my bigger burner. All right. I say this in all of my cooking streams, and I'm going to say this one more time as well. Whenever I say or use the term that I am putting my fire on high, that doesn't mean I'm putting it on like high like that, the high setting. No, never, never, ever cook food on high. I don't think there's any food that needs to be cooked on like the full high, 100% high setting. Whenever I'm saying high, I'm referring to, so my scale goes from low is 1, and it goes up until high, which is a 7. So this is a scale of 1 to 7. For a scale of 1 to 7, for me, 4 is going to be like the medium heat. I want to say 4.5. 3.5 is going to be medium heat, and 5 is already high. I don't use 6 and 7 as my highs ever. 5 is my high. Okay, I'm just putting it on 5 right now on a scale of 1 to 7. That's the heat, and then this is going to get only until it gets hot, because I'm going to turn it down to medium flame after that. And while that is already happening, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use some avocado oil. I'm going to put in some quite a bit of oil in this one. At least I want to say about 6 tablespoons of oil. Nicely coating, because it's a wider pot. I'm going to be using like 6 tablespoons of oil until the base is like nicely coated. And I like a lot of this saturation in my meat dishes. And there we have it. And now I am going to turn down the flame to medium flame. And from now on, this stove is going to be on medium for a very, very, very long time. Medium only. This way we even avoid a lot of that burning, any kind of burning smells. If you want to go take a break, come back, you're not going to find anything like really burning. It takes a while. I mean, oil is still going to burn after being on the burner for a long time, and it doesn't have any activity to do with any other ingredients. You will start to see some smoke come up after a while. So we are not going to wait until the smoke comes up, but we are going to, I'm already seeing some steam coming from the rice dish. So for the rice, I'm going to start adding the rice. I'm also hearing some bubbling. Yep, I'm also hearing some bubbling, so that's a good sign. Then I'm just checking if the oil is hot by placing my palm over. Not too close, because that's going to tell you that yes, it is hot. I want to put it like about a foot over and see if I am getting like a much warmer feeling. The other thing is you will know this is hot once we start seeing our cumin and caraway seed mixture that we put aside earlier. This is the first ingredient that goes into our dish here. And immediately these are going to start popping. You're going to hear some kind of nice sizzle. And if they don't pop, that means your oil is not too hot, so it's okay. That's the popping. So the oil is warm enough, and I like how warm the oil is. Just going to give it a little bit of a stir to make sure all of these seeds are like nicely inside the oil. Oh, while that is happening, I'm gonna put some. Oh, I think I made a boo-boo. I'm gonna turn this down. I'm gonna turn off this stove, but I'm gonna come here. Now this is boiling. It's not a big boo-boo. It's not too much damage. I forgot I haven't chopped any onions, so I'm gonna have to chop my onions first. So it's already boiling. That's good. Now I'm going to use some mint to go into my rice dish. This is going to make all of that mixture nice and fresh. Then I'm going to use the cilantro that I've chopped as well. And that much of cilantro should be good, not too much. And then give it a nice mix. So the hot water is going to soften the texture on the cilantro and the mint. And now I'm going to start putting in my rice. So again, this is going to be 4 cups that I got to measure for my rice. That's going to be 1 cup. That's going to be 2. And we have a 3. And 4. Perfect. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give it a short stir. Again, basmati rice is very delicate. What you're going to notice is if you just stir it very harder, you're going to break the kernels of rice. So I want you to just spin very slow, very careful, delicate. Just make sure your rice is not forming a heap inside. You cannot see this in the amount of water we have. So you got to play it by hand. Make sure the rice is just like nice and separated and that it occupies the entire floor bed of your pan here. Once that's done, now I'm going to have to close it. I think it's this way. And then I'm going to go to my rice mode, remove the keep warm. All right, now that is going to be in action. I'm going to remove the other cilantro that I have from here, transfer this into this bowl. I'm going to be using or needing that later. Huh? Salt taste na. All right, now these onions are going to be so much fun to cut. You know, there's not going to be any teary-eyed. So I'm just going to start chopping. This is going to be diced, so I'm not worried about how big I am cutting them. I only got to dice them. Now, very careful with these onions as well because they have absorbed a lot of water. When we put these onions in our pot now, that pot contains oil and that oil is going to be hot. Quick and easy but messy way of chopping diced onions. And all of these onions are going to caramelize and soften inside our mixture. So I'm not too worried about how much that is. And again, if you're noticing, I am not crying thanks to all that water. Oops. I think this is good amount of onion for our dish. I might use just a little bit more. Thankfully, I have another piece, but I'm not going to use this like entirely. Maybe I'm going to only use like half of this half slice of onion. So I'm going to cut it about right there. This goes back into the water. So usually this basmati rice is going to get cooked in about 12 minutes, I want to say. If you're boiling this rice, then it's going to take a little bit longer. I want to say about 15 minutes. But then when you're boiling rice manually and not using a crock pot like I am, make sure, again, it's not on high heat. Medium is the way to go. Medium is what you want to use. All right, cool. Now I'm going to start the power back on this one. Bring it back to 4. The cumin and caraway inside here have already kind of browned. That is a good sign, and once the rice is done, it's just gonna shut up. This knob right here is the safety that tells us that there's the rice is being cooked under pressure. And I brought the heat back onto here, and once I start seeing any kind of like sparkle on the cumin, that's when I know the oil is again back to being hot. That's when I'm gonna put in my onion. Again, this onion is gonna have some water content in it. Be very careful. We're gonna get a little bit of a sizzle. So to avoid that, or avoid any kind of problems, I think I am going to put this onion in right away before the oil is even too hot, to avoid any kind of that sizzle. The sizzle is still there, but it's not too damaging. So again, the onion, why we use onion, or especially red onions, is because red onions are much more stronger. They're not as sweet as the yellow onions. White onions bring a different kind of flavor palette to our dishes. Yellows are sweeter. Reds are kind of more hotter. I want to say hotter, but I want to also say that the heat is in your nose. Red onions like to communicate with your nose a lot. All right, and now we are going to let the onions fry. Again, we are going to fry these until I find that all of the onions are nice and soft and a little golden brown in color. That is when I'm going to start adding more of this ginger garlic paste, or minced ginger and garlic for you, and salt. Those are the only 2 ingredients, and then comes the activator after that. And from now on, we are on a timer, because the flame's on, the rice is already cooking, and from now on in 20 minutes we should have these dishes complete. It only depends on how long the onions are going to take. But once the chicken comes in to this pot, from then 15 to 20 minutes is when we have for this dish to complete. We're almost done with our prep work. Any other or no other questions? Okay. That's so cool.
Varun,
Yes.
is there any dish that you made or that your family has made over the years that you distinctly remember that is not this dish?
Oh yes. So whenever I visit India, my mom cooks food, but not as much as my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law makes the best food. She makes this goat curry, and I love that her goat curry. She also makes biryani. Now biryani is a dish that originated in the country of Iran, but then it traveled. So all the spices and all the flavors of biryani, which is also cooked in basmati rice, by the way, it's a rice dish, but you know, all the ingredients are kind of mixed in together. So you see how we are separating the chicken curry here and then separating the rice. Biryani is where these two kind of get mixed with each other. Usually, you know, in Iran, you find a lot of this the camel meat. And then beef, and then you know, lamb and goat. All of these are like great ingredients to go into biryani. But when it came down, again, traveled to India, that dish it kind of transformed. In the North India, there's this Kashmiri biryani where you're going to see a lot of raisins and dry fruits inside that biryani as well. I don't like sweeter notes, especially that sweet, like a raisin sweet, in my savory dishes. So therefore, I avoid it. And it also kind of transformed even in South India as you come down to Hyderabad and Chennai, which are down south. That's where biryani kind of completely transformed and became this Hyderabadi biryani, which is actually world famous. And there's like thousands of restaurants down in my city that mastered this dish, and everyone brings their own kind of punch, their own kind of flavor to that dish. And I want to say that is one of my favorite dishes. After that, there's this other dish called the halim. Now, I think that's going to be that one dish. It's extremely heavy. It's very cholesterol heavy. It's a lot of bad cholesterol in that dish. But oh my God, isn't that so yummy and fatty and you know, heavy. The dish halim. What it is it's minced meat of lamb meat, minced lamb, which is mixed with a lot of wheat flour and some water, and then you make a thick paste. So to cook that dish, it's going to take you about 8 to 10 hours, and a lot of mixing. There's a lot of hand labor needed to even make that dish, because you gotta be stirring that. You gotta be stirring the pot for hours together. Your hands are gonna start to hurt, but it's all for the good. It's all for the flavor. So all that minced lamb, the wheat, and then a lot of other spices, a lot of these saturated oils that come out of you know, the fats of the goat meat and the beef or anything that you're using in cooking that. And ghee as another ingredient that goes into it, and it just makes this wholesome, easygoing. Like on even you don't even have to chew it. You don't have to chew halim. That's how nice it plays on your tongue, and it just is such a filling morsel every time you eat one. That's, I want to say, that's my rank 1 favorite dish ever. All right, these onions are nice, soft. They're kind of turning pinkish. Now this is when I want to add another tablespoon of ginger garlic paste, which is going to be like a half tablespoon of ginger, minced ginger, and a half tablespoon of garlic, minced garlic for you guys. There goes that. It's a nice scoop tablespoon. And now we gotta wait for the raw smell that you see. You're gonna start to notice some, because it's ginger. Ginger is gonna have this kind of raw, uncooked smell to it. And we gotta just wait for that smell to go away, to fade off. And again, the heat is still on medium flame. And even into that, I'm going to put in more salt. So if you noticed, we had salt in like 3 installments in this dish. That is why I was using the salt very modestly. And again, only a half a teaspoon of salt. Now this salt is also great for onions. It's going to speed up the heating process on onions. It kind of softens onions way quicker, so that the heat goes into these onions much faster, and you will see the yellowing and browning of these onions much more quicker. Nice and soft. Do you smell the raw ginger?
There's so many smells right now.
Yeah, so many smells that I am having an overloaded, nose. So this is going to take a couple more minutes, and I'm going to be right back. Oops. Oh, I gotta use my medicine. All right. So we are back. I'm already able to see some kind of browning happening on my onions. And most of that raw flavor, the raw smell out of the ginger has now evaporated. It's gone. And now is going to be time for our activator. I'm going to wait a couple more minutes here. Again, to wait a couple more minutes, that doesn't mean that we just have to increase the flame or increase the heat on this one. That's not going to work. Don't speed that up. Your onions, because after you increase the heat and even turn it down, it's going to still stay the same heat for a while. This is why we don't want to burn our onions. That's going to make our dish very, very bitter. We do not want that. Nice and soft. Once the onions are nice and soft, even if they're not turning all of them, golden brown, soft onions should tell us that we're good to go for the next step. This is usually like the base for a lot of Indian dishes. Basically oil, onions, and then ginger garlic, and it already starts to smell really, really good. And now here's our activator mixture. If you remember this, we had all of our dry spices in it and some water mixed in. Now this is going to go into the pot. There's that. Now we are going to give some time for this gravy to thicken. So what you will notice is that this liquid now is going to be very liquidy, or this gravy is now going to be very liquidy. We just got to wait for the water here to start like bubbling a little bit, and then you will start to see that the oil and the waters are going to separate. You're going to see the oil coming up and starting to float on top of the water, and the water is going to create a base down with the juices of the onions and make a thick gravy on top or under the oil. That is the outcome I'm aiming for. And you will also see that whenever, now if I'm running my spatula like that, you're not going to see the base of my pot. But eventually what's going to happen is when that thickening happens, when I start running my spatula, I'm going to see like the lines coming from the bottom. I'm going to see the bottom of my pan sometimes. Because the water is too liquidy, it is occupying that space immediately right now. It immediately starts to bubble because our oil was already very hot and there was only so much water. And then we will let it bubble for another 3 minutes, and in 3 minutes you're going to notice it reaches the consistency that we were desiring. And all this time our chicken has been marinating and refrigerating, and most of those spices should have already been absorbed by the muscle tissues inside of our chicken. I'm gonna let it continue to refrigerate for another 3 minutes. I'm not gonna take it out just yet, but the moment it comes out, it's gonna go into this this pot immediately. Nice colors already. Kind of like that moisture. Additionally, there's this other ingredient of pepper that we sometimes use in this dish as well. Pepper is great if you have like a sore throat or something like that, and you add some pepper to any dish, and it kind of hits you in the throat more than on your tongue. Cayenne pepper, on the other hand, hits you more on the tongue than in your throat. And then garam masala is all the way. Garam masala is going to be on your tongue. You're going to feel the flavor on your tongue, but the heat's going to be going down your throat. Even like almost you're going to feel some kind of acid reflux down in your stomach, but it's actually not acid reflux. It's just the pain that is caused by garam masala if you're consuming it just too much. It's a lot of those ground whole spices, and they're very strong and powerful spices. You don't want to consume it raw, and you don't want to consume it a lot. About 2 minutes have passed. Let's see what we're doing with our consistency. Look at those lines that I was talking about. When I run my spatula now, we're going to see this kind of lines. The lines are just telling you just a little bit that you can see the base or the ground of our pot. That tells us that our gravy is thickening, is coming together. So all the steam that you're seeing is that water evaporating, and then some of that water is going to mix with the onions and create like a thicker gravy. And eventually what you're also going to see is the oil is going to start to separate off, creating its own layer of oil, and then this other mixture right underneath that oil. Now you see when I'm running, I see some lines under the pot, just like that. I'm going to give it a little bit more time, like maybe a minute, and then I'll have the consistency that I was aiming for. You will already start seeing in the corners how the oil is starting to separate out of that mixture. All that nice saturation. Look at that, much more finer lines are now coming up. That's what onions do. And now this is the activated friend that I was talking about, that we just created with all the ingredients that were already inside our marinade for our chicken. All right, this is the consistency I was aiming for. We are there now. Thanks for the area of this pot being a lot. See those lines? That's exactly where I want it to be. And you will also see much more of that oil layering is happening towards the corners. It is eventually going to start coming into the middle, into the center. But even before that happens, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my stove down a little bit to a flame of 2. That is 1 is my low, like I said. I'm at 2 on heat because I'm going to be bringing in my chicken now. You're good, you're good. I'm gonna, yep. We got it, we got it. Yep, I think that should be good. Nicely refrigerated chicken. So here's our marinade. Now be very careful again when bigger chunks of your chicken go into this pot. It might cause some kind of splatter. So very carefully, again you're going to need some strength here, as I'm going to drop this piece by piece into this pot. Again, be very careful not to cause a splatter. Very slowly. There you go. Nice, all in. Now, you must be wondering, is Vaarun going to discard all of this remaining marinade juices that are in here? Absolutely not. That's going to be a waste of a lot of nice marinade. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run my tap down like just that much. It's about like a quarter of a cup of water, I want to say, quarter cup of water. And then I'm going to start, swirling the bowl. And you will see how the marinade is kind of getting into that water, mixed into that water, nicely cleaning the bowl from down there. You don't have to do all of it, but most of the flavors are going to be hidden inside this marinade. I just wanted to bring some of that back into my pot. Look at that splatter. It was just, that's right. And now I'm going to put this one aside, run some water down so that it's going to get easier for us to clean that later. And then make sure we give this a nice mix. See, all of that oil, all of the gravy that we had earlier is sitting down on the bottom of our pot. We got to bring all of that up. Just like that. All of the onions, let's get that mixed up. And then we are going to increase the flame back to 4. And again, don't press this chicken too hard, otherwise you're going to destroy the pieces. I'm going to be moving my hand very kindly with a lot of love, a lot of respect. Right? Make sure all of this is nice and mixed. All of this is gonna heat up, and not only that, if you notice, it feels like there's a lack of gravy, but this chicken, once it starts to heat up, it's gonna release a lot of moisture, a lot of moisture. So don't worry, we're gonna have a lot of curry, a lot of gravy, a lot of spice, which is already packed into this. Now make sure all of your pieces here are nicely covered into the sauce, because we are going to now put a cap on this. Nicely covered. And again, the reason why we don't use high flame is because your meat will then start to stick to the bottom of your pot, and we don't want meat to stick to the bottom of the pot because that overheats your meat and even chars it, and that's going to be a waste of a good piece. And once this is done now, once you're sure that all of the pieces are under that sauce, put a lid back on it. And now we just count 11 minutes. So it's 1:33 right now. Or I should say, yeah, it is 1:33. So it is 1:33 right now. 1:44. So 1:43 is 10 minutes. 1:44 or 12 minutes. We can even wait 12 minutes. But I'm gonna remove the lid again after like 6 minutes. So maybe at like 1:39, 1:40 ish. Give it another stir and then put the lid back on. In this meantime, this rice cooker also beeped, indicating that the cooking of the rice is now complete. It is just, it says it's off, but I do see the indicator that the steam is still tightly packed inside. So I'm not going to open this just yet, but that dish is ready. Now we can start cutting some of this cilantro here that we have remaining. Now this cilantro I'm going to be using inside that chicken dish once that is also complete. So start cutting some of the cilantro leaves. This is only used for garnish, just to add that freshness. Do you guys like mango nectar?
I like mangoes.
Mangoes. So mango is the national fruit in India. It's considered the king of fruits.
I've never heard of mango nectar.
Mango nectar is basically the juice you get in Costco, but
Fair enough.
that comes close to the mango juice that I'm talking about. But there's a difference between the mangoes that are grown in India and, of course, the mangoes that are grown in Mexico. That United States imports mangoes from Mexico. The mangoes from Mexico also have a lot of this kind of sour notes to those mangoes. But the mangoes that are grown in India, especially, there are 21 different kinds of mangoes that grow in Indian soil. And they have weird names as well, like one is called Himayat, one is Banginpalli, one is then we have Rasalu, different types of mangoes. And the mangoes that I have named as of right now, they are the Alfonso mangoes, are another mango type. These mangoes are like extremely sweet. These are like beautiful, gorgeous. Once you taste one, you would crave for more. Again, nice natural sugars, and mangoes pack a lot of heat in them. When I say heat, it's not spice or hot, it's just body heat. So if you consume a lot of mangoes, you will be generating a lot of heat inside your body, to a point where if you consume a lot of mangoes in the season of mangoes in India, especially because how hot the land in India is and how the temperatures and the climate in India can get to, you could even grow a lot of boils and pimples on your skin. That's good. What are we doing on time now? We're almost done. So in 2 minutes, I'm going to remove the lid off of that. I'm going to give it another nice stir. Just make sure none of my pieces are stuck to the bottom of the pan. And you'll be surprised, once I remove the lid off of this pot, there's going to be a lot of water. All that moisture from inside the chicken would have come out. I would say about at like 150, 153-ish, our dish is going to be ready to be served, and we can have our lunch at 2. Sorry for the delay. The prep and the teaching and all of that took a lot of time. All right. It's nice and boiling. I just want to stir. Yep, nothing has been stuck to the bottom. So if you notice, for some of these pieces, you will still see that kind of whitening, or that piece is still white. So if you want to avoid those kind of whitening on these pieces, Like I said, the marination should happen overnight. But I wanted to show you what was going inside and what the cooking process was. So if you see, the meat is nice and cooking, it's getting white in color. But if you wanted to avoid that white color, marination overnight is going to do that job for us. All right, just give it a shake. Reset the positions of the pieces inside and then cover it back again. Keep on boiling. Danon, how's life, man? Anybody have any questions so far?
When can we eat?
When can we eat? Like I said, 10 more minutes, I think 10, 15 minutes. The only thing is that the food's going to be cooked in another 10 minutes, yes?
The only dairy, I guess the only dairy uses butter, right? There's no cream.
No, we use yogurt as well.
Oh, yogurt? Okay.
Yeah, so in the marinade, when we were preparing our marinade, we used yogurt, and in this dish we used ghee, so clarified butter. That's the only dairy that we used. Again, in this one was the yogurt. In the chicken, we had the yogurt for the base, for the creamy texture on our gravy, and then in here we have the ghee. That
Just
was
plain yogurt, right?
plain yogurt. Yes, no flavor yogurt, plain, low fat, Greek yogurt.
Yogurt.
Yeah, Greek yogurt, because it's much thicker and not as softer as a texture that you would find in regular yogurt. We want that thickness and the creaminess, and that makes our gravy even much more. You will see the consistency of our gravy has to be a little bit liquidy, not too viscous.
Okay. Gotcha.
Can we take a look at the rice dish, or does that have to stay closed until?
It's cooking under pressure. It's cooking on steam right now. So this indicator right here tells me that the steam is still inside. I don't want to remove that because if you want to test it, right
it's
there.
not done yet.
It's almost there because it was not too pressured.
Okay.
It's gonna drop. You're gonna hear the click as well.
Yeah.
Maybe in like a minute.
Okay.
That's when we can say our rice is ready.
Can I ask an off-topic question?
Yes, go ahead.
Plan on buying any more Legos?
We already have another one.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
What is it?
It came out on Costco. There's new, again, flowers and plants. It's botanical stuff, and I think,
Do you know which one?
yeah, I think,
Okay.
yeah, why she can probably bring it.
And remember, people can't hear questions, so they don't know what you're talking about.
Oh,
Oh.
they can't hear me? Oh,
No,
okay.
they're not working.
Oh, people can't. Oh, the question Win asked me was, what's my next Lego that I'm building?
Wanna show it?
Yeah.
Hit Vaarun. There you go.
So this is the next Lego, the pretty pink flower bouquet. We just got it from Costco a couple of days ago. From the botanical set, and it's the end of the day. It's gonna come out like that. Yeah, I started, so all the Legos that you see around here, I built them, and then Vaishu, my wife, she saw me do that, and how much, that was the click. That was the click on the rice. I heard it. Yes, it was so soft. So she saw how much fun I was having building all of these, and she started building them now. So this one, she's going to be building them real soon, this weekend. So yes, this rice is now done, because now if I open this, exactly what I wanted to see. There's still a little bit of moisture and water that I see. I should have waited a little bit longer, but no, there's good consistency, I want to say. Yes, this is good. See, this is what I'm talking about. I want to give a close-up shot to the camera. So you see, it's how the rice nicely separates, and it doesn't form like or get mushed when you're bringing this close. Mushed rice just means that you added too much water, and too dry rice means that you did not add quite enough water, and perfectly cooked rice means that you don't find it breaking, but instead becoming mush as you squeeze it like that. That tells you that the rice grain has completely cooked. That's good rice. Perfect. Again, all of these dry spices that you see have come afloat. The mint is nice; it's edible. The cilantro in there is also going to be edible. But the other whole spices, what I would do, I recommend that if you are getting that on your palate, just put that aside. I don't want you to be consuming those whole spices because they pack a very strong punch. This also includes the cardamom, the bay leaf. It's not like they're inedible. I don't want to call them inedible. All the ingredients that you see inside here are all edible ingredients. It's just that you don't want an overwhelming, overpowering flavor in your mouth disturbing the other notes that you're already cherishing, because they're going to be, you can try having a clove or biting into a clove, and you will see how it's going to burn your tongue already, right? So that is what we want to avoid. And now it's 1:46. Now this is a good time for us to add our cilantro into our chicken dish. So I'm going to be opening it up. Look at that. It's the water has now come to a boil, and you will also see there's a lot of water in our dish. And again, I'm going to be moving things around. It's a lot of nice gravy. We're almost done. We have our rice ready. We have our chicken is gonna be ready. We gotta also let it stand for a while. But now that we are here, this is when our cilantro goes in. Now there was another ingredient of Thai coconut milk that I included in the ingredients list. Now, coconut milk in gravy especially is used as an additional thickener. So if you don't like the consistency that you see here, this is the kind of consistency I was going for with my gravy. Now if you don't like this kind of consistency, I would recommend adding a half a cup of that coconut milk right now, and then give it a nice mix. And that coconut milk is going to thicken it way, way, way further. You're going to find and notice that this liquidy gravy is going to turn very viscous really quick with that coconut milk. That's the only reason I would say I would use coconut milk if I want a much thicker gravy. Now, when would I need thicker gravy and when would I not need thicker gravy? When do I want my gravy to be liquidy or watery and not so viscous like this? If I am consuming this dish with rice, I want the rice to absorb a lot of water, you see. So that is when I want my dish to be liquidy like this. But then when do I want my gravy to be more viscous? That's going to be with bread. So if I am eating or consuming this dish with naan, roti, chapati, and those kind of other breads, then I want the gravy to be a little bit more viscous so that it doesn't drip off of my bread when I'm holding it in my hands. while on the other hand, I want it to be this liquidy, especially if I am consuming this with rice. And today we are indeed consuming this dish with rice, so that is why we're going to let it be in that viscosity. And now I'm going to just grab all of this cilantro, and it's going to be my garnish. That should be good enough. Give it another mix here. So you'll notice that red and green are complementary colors. So once you put your cilantro in, this kind of nice orangish red tones, it'll naturally look appetizing. And immediately that aroma, the aroma of that freshness is going to start to come out of our dish. Now the one thing I want to do here is I want to make sure the spice is tolerable for my guests who have arrived at my place today. That's Torin. I have Torin right here, TDMP student Torin, operating this camera. And looking at me right now with my camera is going to be Tegan. Tegan is also TDMP student. And then we have Sam. Sam is operating the production. And right next to Sam is Andrew Tingley, Professor Tingley. He teaches in the TDMP program at Ferris State University. That's Television and Digital Media Productions. And after that we have Win. Win is our new faculty in the Digital Animation and Game Design program.
Hi everyone. Pleasure to meet you.
And then maybe right there in that corner where I cannot see is my wife, Vaishnavi or Vaishu. And I want to make sure that we don't have any fatalities today. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of a taste test on how spicy this is. So I'm just going to take some of this gravy, and at the same time I'm going to turn this, all of this is now cooked. I'm pretty sure that it is cooked, but if you are not sure whether it is cooked or not, I have a trick for you as well. But before anything, I'm going to reduce the fire down to a low flame. And then I'm going to wait for this liquid to cool down a little bit, and then put a little bit of that gravy onto my palm. Very careful here, it could be very, very hot. And then all right, oh, you guys are in for a nice treat. It's not too spicy, but you can definitely feel the spicier notes in there. There's not much of an afterburn. This is why I have mango nectar for you guys. You know what sweet does? Sipping mango nectar or Coca-Cola or even milk is going to tone down any of that lingering spice on your tongue. And now, notice what's happening, what color our dish is transforming into. So you see, as we start to cool this down, I'm also going to make sure, okay, so how do you check if the meat is cooked is the next question. So again, you can take a piece of chicken like that. I'm going to just put it aside. I'm going to let it cool down a little bit. And if you start to, again, this is going to be very, very, very hot. I'm going to use this to split that. You gotta see, once you cut it, you gotta be able to see this whiteness in the meat. There shouldn't be any pink color as you're cutting. Should be seeing everything white after you cut this in half. There shouldn't be any kind of pinking. And once that is done, that's when you're sure that the meat is cooked. Mm-hmm. Mm. Oh my God. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm cheating here, okay?
You can't eat it. It's on to us.
It's nice and it's cooked. And now, turn off the flame and put the lid back on and let it settle. Come down to a normal temperature. But this is when we start to serve. Lunch is ready, everybody. We're done. Oh, thank you, Swordmaster. Oh, yeah. All right. So, why shall we plate this, Konosa? So, we're going to start serving this in a bit. I'm going to take some of that curry out in this serving bowl because that pot is going to be just too much. I'm going to have to, I think, place this one here. And then very slowly, very carefully, I'm going to start bringing this curry into my serving bowl. Look at that steam. Look at that heat. There's going to be a little bit of dripping. Ooh. Thank you everybody. So this gravy is gonna go down hard. This is my comfort food.
When you're done, can you tilt the bowl my way?
Yes. Vargas. Vargas is a familiar name. Vargas is, I remember David. David from the DIGD program. He's an alum now. Is making sure we have enough gravy and enough meat in this serving. Ooh, biceps. You need some good biceps for this. But there it is. And I'm going to use this to clean and wipe. There's that. Let's close that. And this is the rice. Ta-da! Now we are gonna eat, guys. This was a lot of fun.
Vaarun, can you serve them? I think that'd be a good way to wrap up the.
Okay. Where's the? Where's plates and spoons?
Okay.
All right.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's not getting over. Aí veio.
Is it still broadcasting?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And your voice should also be audible to them now because you're closer to me.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, they can. So here's this for you.
Oh, thank you.
And then I am going to do the honors
Okay.
on how to serve this. So we have a very special kind of spoon, I want to say, for the rice. And then I'm going to use this one to serve the chicken. Has a nice kind of a ladle because
Oh my.
that's that. Now firstly, I want to separate the dry spices that I see on the top
Yeah.
away so it doesn't get in our way with the rice, and
Oh, okay.
get a whole load of rice like that, and then put that in and then spread it apart like so. The reason why we spread this apart is so that the steam kind of goes away quicker, the heat also goes away quicker. And if you see, you can even smell this rice.
Yes. I can
That's
smell
the
spices.
that's the spices.
Mhm.
And then we're gonna get some really nice portion of that
Wonderful.
on the side. Don't worry about it. How I like to eat it is I also like to put some of that
On the rice.
gravy on the rice, and then more pieces.
Yes, please.
Can we get a dessert cooking stream next time?
Oh yes, absolutely. I will plan on that.
Long live all
And
nerds,
there
all
you
love
go.
Vaarun.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Now, yeah,
Oh.
fork and spoon.
They
Yes,
want a
please.
dessert stream
There we go.
next time.
Yes, I'm gonna make gulab jamun next time. That's gonna be the dessert stream. Who's next? Come on in. I think there's gonna be a great introduction to the team as well, who's been behind the scenes so far. So come over here. I'm gonna be serving. Hello,
Hi.
bestie.
Hello.
All right.
Hi, everybody. Had a lot of great viewers today. Thank you for sticking with us for 3+ hours. And you're not getting any food.
Well, I hope you made your own food.
Yeah, how many people were able to make
Oh, okay.
their
Thank
own
you.
food today? Let us know in the comments.
In the chat. Hey, chatters.
Yes, in the chat. Thank you.
After all this hard production work, Vaishu, we might want to make a little bit of raita with this yogurt that we have.
Where'd you put the forks?
Should be right behind you. Right there. Nice gravy. It's gonna be spicy. I'm gonna tell you that.
Okay.
So-
I will eat it off camera.
Awesome.
Oh.
Why should you make the right? No. Oh, okay. You come, Tegan. Come on over. Do these.
All right, perfect.
All right.
Be the authentic way.
There's that rice.
Yes, no, maybe so. Good. Has the spice hit you yet?
Is it spicy?
This is really hot too.
Yeah, be careful. It is hot.
This is the right amount of spice powder.
Is this?
Yes.
Awesome, man.
I'm sitting in my cubicle wishing I could be there. I could be cooking this meal. That was from something guy. There you go. You're welcome.
And there you go.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Oh, honey. Thank you.
Torin. Did I say your name right?
Yes, you did.
You are next.
I'm ready. Lay it on me.
Where would be the safest spot?
All right, nice portion. So now here's what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
You see this? You were lucky enough. You got a lot of these whole spices, especially this bay leaf.
I see that. I got the whole leaf.
You got the whole leaf. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just put this one aside.
Oh.
You don't wanna, because you don't wanna consume it.
Oh, right.
It's gonna overpower the flavor on that. Even this flour, the Mayflower, I'm gonna put that aside.
So yeah. There's some stuff in this that you got to be kind of careful of. Is it just because it's so
Overpowering.
Right, I got you.
From the, I mean, they're all edible. You can all
Okay.
eat them without getting sick. It's just that you're gonna find different flavors
Right.
in your mouth. I like my mouth to just have the flavor of the rice in here, the mixture of the spice, and then the kind of gravy that we have running in here, right?
Gotcha.
Not anything beyond that.
I see.
Not some uninvited guest.
Yeah. Somebody asked MLG Gamer Bolt collab in the future.
Maybe. So
Perfect, thank you
there's
so
that.
much.
Absolutely.
That's great.
And then there's forks and spoons.
No, I didn't grab any water.
Sam, you ready? The what? Small portion. You're afraid of the spice? A little bit. Okay. See, that is why we are making another like yogurt-based dish that kind of tones down the spice level. So don't worry about it.
Too late. My face is on fire.
Is it too spicy for you?
It's good.
You can handle it. His taste buds are tingling. What is it?
Like Basmati
Is
rice.
it the chicken?
So
or
good.
Is it the chicken?
Yeah, it's the spice of the chicken.
Oh yeah, it's there.
It's not that bad.
Well,
And there you go.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Looks really good.
And then I'm gonna do a refill. Again, guys, you're welcome for seconds and thirds and fourths.
Nothing beats the spiciness of Southeast Asia.
You don't think it's hot, right?
Huh?
You don't think it's hot? Or do you think it's hot?
It is hot, but it's tolerable.
It's very tolerable.
Like I said, reverse dragon, inverse dragon. Sam, how are you doing?
It's good. It's good.
Is good? Tolerable spice for you?
Yeah.
Perfect. Too much?
No. I said I can tolerate it. I just never had it before, you know. I like it. I really do. And what kind of rice is this again?
It's basmati rice.
Okay.
But I call it Bagara. The word Bagara is just a Hyderabadi word. It's just how do you say it? Wholesome, strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So this is called the raita. Now you can also use this in your food. So if you mix this along with the curry. So basically this is a concoction of the same Greek yogurt, but we dilute it to this consistency by using some water in it. And then what did we put in it, Vaishu? I see some cilantro, yogurt, salt, and a pinch of cayenne pepper. Only a pinch of cayenne pepper in this one. Again, you gotta make ends meet. You gotta make these friends, whatever are in your ingredients, meet each other. Otherwise, they're gonna feel like two different flavors, kind of meeting each other on your palate. You don't want that. So, if it is too spicy for you, or if you want a change of flavor on your tongue, what you can do is in your rice, just mix a little bit of this sauce as well. And you're gonna feel good. Vaishu, you ready?
My lips are on fire.
Yeah. Are you crying?
I'm not crying.
Oh my god. Are you okay?
Yeah, it's on the rice, in the rice. Put a little bit more.
It's gonna clear me out.
I was about to say I'm gonna be real clear here in about a few hours.
Do you want some yogurt?
No, but more rice would be good.
Okay.
Yeah. If you
Oh,
got
yeah.
That nectar, you were hitting that.
Up here. Up there.
ఆ స్కిన్ పీస్ నాకు ఇచ్చేసేయి నేను వేసుకున్న ప్లేట్లో ఓకే
Yeah, Tom.
ఆ స్కిన్ పీస్ నేను వేసుకున్న తర్వాత నాకు ఇచ్చేసేయి ఓకే
Yeah, sure.
Just put a little more rice.
All right.
You want to try
Plenty of
that?
sauce. Great.
Are you sure?
Thank you. Yeah, perfect.
All right, I'm ready for seconds.
Oh, look at that.
Seconds.
Yes. There we go.
No straw.
Yeah.
And we pour
Mine was
this
red
on
all
top
the
of the plate, or?
On top of your rice, yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you do with it? Oh, you just like smothered it all over? I have a question. Is this your watermelon or is this your watermelon? I don't know. Thank you very much. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Chicken turned out good.
There we go.
I think it feels spicy because it's hot.
So I'm going to show you the Indian way of eating.
I know where this is going.
So the Indian way is we don't use any spoons, any forks, nothing. We just dig in with our fingers. Just, again, it's very hot. So Um,
We were born with utensils for a reason.
that's right. Now I could be using this finger, but this is my left hand. I'm fortunate that my injury was to my left hand and not my right. Otherwise, why is that? Because if I eat with my fingers, now this injury would have burned. Imagine the cayenne going into an open wound.
No. Just
Because you're supposed to use turmeric.
Yes.
I learned a lot from this stream.
Now there you go. That's a win. That's a win-win.
I see what you're doing.
Keep it moving. All right, you want to wrap this up, Vaarun?
All right. Again, thank you everyone. I hope you had fun. I hope you have this delicious meal with your family. If you want to go over these steps one more time, you can always rewind on the stream. We are also going to be sharing the link to the downloaded video. It's going to be on the TDMP, Ferris State TDMP YouTube channel for almost ever, this production. So you can tune in anytime, go over the ingredients one more time, the recipe, the preparation, and all of it, and enjoy this meal. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope your spring break is going amazing. Rest well, eat well, and then I'll see you again on Monday. Bye-bye.